Good evening, I'm Max McGee.
And I'm Ava Joy Burnett. We are following breaking news tonight at the Inner Harbor, where multiple people are under arrest following a massive disturbance.
Fights, teens on top of cars, and thefts is how witnesses and city officials describe the scene.
Well, Vic, witnesses say it was complete chaos here. Hundreds of people were seen running around. Fights were breaking out in that crowd of people. City officials say the mayhem needs to stop.
Well, really, is a parenting question. Are the parents talking to their young people to let them know that downtown belongs to you too, the Inner Harbor belongs to you too, but you go there and act with common sense and decency and not go down there to disrupt and fight.
Over Memorial Day weekend, 6 were arrested for fighting at the Inner Harbor. While many focused on the actions of young people, others said the incident should be a teachable moment for adults with power in the city.
The mere presence of teenagers will elicit some sort of response from the police department. And so you need to ask yourself, what are the kids reacting to? Are the kids reacting to the police? Because the police could be causing the problem.
Responding to the incident, the Baltimore City Police Union tweeted, quote, "To our officers at the harbor tonight, protect each other and don't fall into the trap that they are only kids. Some are criminals." But former Baltimore police officer Larry Smith said that message only serves to criminalize Baltimore youth.
The FOP union is already sort of putting a target on these kids. So any interaction that they have, a cop's mindset is, well, they could be a criminal. So it's already going to start off as a negative interaction. And a lot of this language is just being substituted for language like back in the 80s and 90s. Like if you look at the Central Park 5 case in New York, like the big terminology back then was wilding. Teenagers were wilding. Now in Baltimore, you have mainstream media, politicians, and the FOP using terms like flooding the harbor, creating chaos.
When young people do speak out about the conditions they face, they rarely get the same kind of attention.
We're trapped, and we are afraid, and we're hurting, and then we wanted justice. We wanted to be heard.
The violence is definitely caused by unnecessary laws and poverty, because people trying to, like, if you don't have nothing else to do, you're gonna resort to selling drugs, and as a result of selling drugs, he's gonna get into arguments and fights and stuff. And like, yeah, it's definitely gonna, like, if they had a chance, I feel as though like the government is trying to keep the minorities oppressed, like they're trying to keep us down.
And I just want to say, I'm afraid to go to school in the morning because I might get shot. Like, you shouldn't be scared to go to school because you might get killed. You're scared to go learn, which is so supposed to be fun.
Baltimore schools just honored the 12 students who died over the past school year.
Last year, at this time, we mourned the loss of 9 students to violence on the streets of our city. And it seems inconceivable that anything at that time could have been worse. But tragically, in the current school year, we have lost 12 more of our young people to violence. And so, unfortunately, the violence has continued to take our youngest members.
Studies have shown the longer you grew up in Baltimore as a youth, you're expected to earn less money throughout your life. Over the past 2 decades, the city has cut rec centers while massively increasing funding for police. Meanwhile, the school system continues to be underfunded on a huge level, at least $250 million a year, according to state commission studies.
We've had multiple times where the ceiling has fallen down, where there's been holes in the walls, where it's harder to get rid of the rats in the basement and everything, and it's hard to heat and cool the building because of how large it is.
That's why youth like 18-year-old Deshauna Bryant are going to the courts to get more funding, with the help of the ACLU of Maryland and the NAACP Legal Defense Fund.
Everyone wants to judge us, how they don't think we're the best students, how we're not up there in test scores and everything, but we can't have the best test scores, we can't be the best students if we're not put in the proper environment. If we have to leave every single time it's cold, if the building has to be let out, or if we have to leave every time it's too hot to stay in the building, or if our teachers don't have enough materials to teach us the proper things, it makes us hard to be these students that everybody wants us to live up to be.
A growing number of scholars argue poverty was created by policies like segregation, redlining, and exploitative housing practices. A recent study found $3.2 billion in wealth was plundered from black homeowners in Chicago in the 1950s and 60s. This was the same time the government subsidized the creation of the white middle class in the suburbs. The question now is, what are the people prepared to do to remedy this problem that is at the root of so many of Baltimore's issues? For The Real News, this is Jessel Noor.